Then Monday. Okay? So, after we go over this today, whenever we do get back to school, if there is reason to not come, the next day back, be ready to take it, okay? All right. So, when we do this, we need to put it in the calculator, right? So, what was the first one? Just x to the fifth, right? And then just plus or minus? Thanks. X to the third plus 20 x squared minus 21 x plus 20. All right, so we graph it and see what happens. So I see it cross 3 spots. Okay? That looks like, to me, 1, 2, 3, that looks like -5. That looks like 1, 2, 3, and that looks like a 4. Am I right on that? You guys check your table? Okay. So we're good there, right? So the other two, because we know they're supposed to be 5, must be imaginary, right? So how do I get to the point where I can find imaginary? Very good. Synthetic division. Does it matter which one of these I start with? One of those zeros? No. Doesn't matter what order I do them, Sydney. I don't know. I haven't done it yet, so we'll see. Do you get a 0 for B on this?
Yeah, you have to.
Oh, you do have to use?
No, we don't have to. You have the 0 for B.
Okay. If we get 0 for B, we don't have to use quadratic formula, right?
Yeah.
But if we do get anything else for B, we have to use a quadratic.
That makes sense.
All right. So we got our -5. So 1. What do we have to add? A 0. Do you remember that?
Oh,
-20, +20, -21, and another 20. So we had to add a 0 because there's no x to the 4. All right, drop our 1 below. That's a -5. That's a +25. That's a -25. A +25. And a -20. So, again, I did it correctly, right? Because it ended up with a 0 for remainder, right? So I do 1. I'm just going left to right on the numbers. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times -4. 1 times 1 is 1 again. -4. 1 times -4 is -4. So that worked, and it's supposed to, right? And then the 4. 1 times 4 is 4. There's our 0 for the B. Okay, so this is our A, that's our B, that's our C, right? When the B is 0, it's a lot quicker and easier for us, right? Remember, this was x to the 5th to start, x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, so this is x squared. Right? So it's x squared plus 1 equals 0 is the equation I'm trying to solve. Questions? That's because the B is 0, I can write it like that. Okay? All we got to do is subtract the 1 and then square root both sides. And what is the square root of -1? I, right. And remember, when we do this method, our answer has a plus or minus symbol in front, right? So there's our other two zeros, positive I and negative I. Okay, so these two and those 3 are the 5 zeros. Okay? Questions? Okay, we're good? Sydney, you got a question? Caitlin, you guys okay? Where is it? Okay, so when we started this problem, this was an x to the fifth, right?
Yeah.
And after I do synthetic division, it becomes to the fourth, then the third, and then this one's the x squared. So this here is that problem. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. So, number one, for the practice quiz, you're supposed to factor. What's the first thing we're supposed to do when we factor?
Find a common.
Look for a GCF, right? And both have a 5 in them and both have an x in them, right? What's 5x to the fourth divided by 5x? Just x to the third, right? What's 5x divided by 5x? 1. Well, this is one of those difference of cubes. All right? So you have to make room for a binomial and room for a trinomial. Okay? To do the binomial part, you just cube root both of those. The cube root of x cubed is x. The cube root of 1 is 1. And since this is minus, your binomial is minus. Those match.
Right.
Okay? Just took cube roots. Now to get the trinomial part, you take the first term of the binomial, this x, and square it. What's x times x?
X squared.
X squared. Since this is minus, this middle term is always opposite sign. So that has to be a plus. And then you just multiply these two together. What's x times 1? X, right? The third term of the trinomial is always positive, so put plus. And then you take the second term of the binomial, 1, and square it. What's 1 times 1?
1.
1. That is factored completely. Number 2, is there a GCF? Yes, 4x cubed. All right, so we pull the 4x cubed out, trying to. And then 4x to the fifth divided by 4x cubed is 1x squared. And 100x cubed divided by 4x cubed is 25, and it's negative because it was minus, right? Well, what is x squared minus 25? Difference of squares, right? All right, so take the square root of x squared and the square root of 25. And then what? One's addition, one's subtraction. Okay? So, factor completely tomorrow. They'll be similar. Right, Wolf, you're staying focused on the task at hand. Making sure we're getting this right. Questions? All right, number 3 is also factoring. You have to solve it by factoring, not using a calculator. All right, it's got 4 terms. When it's got 4 terms, we call it grouping, right? And how do we usually group? 2 in pairs, right? First 2 and last 2, right? Since that third term had a minus in front of it, put it inside the group. What's the GCF of the first group?
X squared.
X squared. What's the GCF of the second group? Negative 25. Good. Take the negative out because that third term's negative, and then 25 goes into both of those terms. When I divide x cubed by x squared, I get x. When I divide 3x squared by x squared, I get 3. When I divide negative 25x by negative 25, I get x. And when I divide negative 75 by negative 25, I get positive 3. Is it working out like I want it to? Yeah. What's my two factors. All right, x plus 3 is 1, and x squared minus 25. Is this factored completely?
No.
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 So we got x plus 3, x plus 5, and x minus 5. Are we finished?
No.
No, we're solving this, right? The first two we didn't have to solve, we just had to factor. We're solving this one. So each one of those factors you have to set equal to 0 and find your answers. So there's 3 answers. And most of you can just tell me the answers by looking at it, which is fine. This one we're going to add 5 to both sides, so we get positive 5. This one we're going to subtract 5 from both sides, negative 5. And this one we're going to subtract 3 from both sides, so negative 3. Okay? So make sure number 3 you do by factoring. 4 and 5 you can do using the calculator. Questions on number 3? AJ? Yeah, it'll be like that on the quiz.
What is it? Why?
Okay. All right, number 4. We got 3x cubed minus 18x squared minus 9x plus 132. Okay, so how many should I find? 3 of them, right? Okay. When I graph it, can I see all 3 of them?
You can.
Yes. Okay. The graph looks similar to this. Okay. So we have this 0, this 0, and this 0. Okay. Using the calculator, looking at the table, that's a positive 4 whole number. Okay. When you use second trace 0, this is 4.46, or if you put 4.5, that's okay. And this one is negative 2.46, or if you rounded it up, that's okay. But the calculator can find all 3 of them for you. If you found the 4 and then use synthetic division to find the other 2, okay, the ABC, when you did it, your A was 3, your B was negative 6, and your C was negative 33. If you did synthetic division for the 4. And then when you did the quadratic formula, you got this answer, 1 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 3. Okay? If you did that, that's fine. That would give you the 4.46 and the negative 2.46. Okay? If you wrote it in radical form like that. Okay? Some of you did that, some of you didn't. Either way is fine with me. Yes?
So if we just really plugged it into our calculator, we just put x equals 4, x equals 2.5, and x equals 4.5, would that be correct?
Well, if you said negative 2.5, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay? So if you can see all of them and find them in your calculator, that's fine with me. Okay? If you wanted to find the other 2 by using synthetic division, that's also okay to do. All right, number 5, there's how many zeros? 4 of them. But how many can you see? Just 2 of them. So you're going to have to do synthetic division for this one to find the 2 imaginary ones. Okay? So when you graph it, the graph looks like this, and this was negative 1, and this was 4. Any problems with that? Now, to do the rest of it, you have to put negative 1 in and 4 in synthetic division. Do I have to add any zeros? No. All right, so that's what I get when I do my synthetic division. What's b again?
Nothing.
Nothing. So I can write x squared plus 9 equals 0 and not have to use the quadratic formula. So what's the square root of negative 9? 3i, right? Plus or minus. Okay? So our four answers are negative 1, positive 4, 3i, and negative 3i. Questions? All right, so worked out nice again, b was 0. If b is anything else, you're going to have to use the quadratic formula. Okay? Any questions? Okay. 6 and 7, I give you the zeros, and you have to find the polynomials that go with those zeros. So we're going backwards. So the 3 zeros I give you are those. So how do we start these? Always write x minus in front of those zeros. So x minus a negative 4 is x plus 4. X minus 3, and when we have the fractions, what do I do with that denominator, the 3? Yeah, make it 3x, then minus the numerator. If it was negative 2/3, then it would be 3x plus 2, right? Let's do that right. Make sure we do it right tomorrow. All right, so you got a FOIL. You can't do all 3 at once. You just got to do 2 at a time. So I did the first 2. X times x, x times negative 3, 4 times x, and 4 times negative 3, which is x squared plus x minus 12. So I get that trinomial. I have to multiply it by the 3x minus 2. All right, so x squared times 3x is 3x cubed. X squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. X times 3x is a positive 3x squared, and x times negative 2 is a negative 2x. Negative 12 times 3x is negative 36x, and then negative 12 times negative 2 is a positive 24. So combine like terms there to finish up. You get 3x cubed plus 1x squared minus 38x plus 24. Questions? Lo, you got it? We'll get it now so that you'll have it tomorrow. All right? Okay, so number 7, I only gave you 3 of them, but there's actually how many? 4. Why? Right, the complex ones come in pairs, right? So we got a conjugate pair there, complex pair. So we got negative 1, 4, 5 plus I. So if there's a 5 plus I, there's also a 5 minus I. Okay. On the quiz, I actually wrote them both for you so you wouldn't forget. All right. But again, these start out as x minus every time. I get kids that still won't put an x minus in front of the imaginary ones. Okay, you need x minus. So that becomes x plus 1, x minus 4, x minus 5 plus I, and x minus 5 minus I. Okay, so very important. William, X minus in front of those two. Okay? Every year I got kids doing it. Did this in my CP math class here. And they're forgetting stuff. To put the X minus in front. We had a quiz over that stuff last week. The same stuff. All right? So, remember, you must multiply these two together. Well, that's how I would do it, these two. But you have to do these two together. Okay? These really wouldn't have to do first, but might as well do 2 and 2 so you get 2 answers instead of going 2 and then do 2, 3, and then 4. But however you want to do it, but you have to do these two together to get rid of the i's. So we go x times x times negative 5, and x times negative I. Right, Berkey?
Yeah.
All right. And then we do negative 5 times x. And negative 5 times negative 5. And negative 5 times negative I. And then we do I times x, which is positive ix. And I times negative 5 is negative 5i. And I times negative I is a negative 1i squared, right? There's ones in front of those i's. Okay? So I lined up the like terms, and these two and these two cancel. Remember, what does I squared equal? Negative 1, right? So that's like a negative 1 times a negative 1, which makes it
1.
plus 1, right?
Indeed.
So this answer, this red box answer, is x squared minus 10x plus 26. Questions on that one? Okay. The blue box, first, outside, inside, last, comes out to be x squared minus 3x minus 4. Okay. Questions up to this point? Okay, so no i's are left. We didn't have any radicals in this one, so no radicals. Now we just got to multiply the two trinomials together, and we'll be done. Okay? So we got x times x squared. I'm sorry, x squared times x squared. X squared times negative 10x. And x squared times 26. Okay? So there's 3 of the 9 we're going to get. And then negative 3x times x squared is negative 3x cubed. Right? Oh, this should be x squared there, sorry. Negative 3x times negative 10x is positive 30x squared. And negative 3x times 26, what's that? 78 x. And then negative 4 times x squared. And negative 4 times negative 10x is a positive 40x. And negative 4 times 26 is negative 104. All right. So combine like terms and we're done. X to the fourth minus 13, x to the third plus 52, x squared minus 38, x minus 104. Simple. So again, do not forget to write x minus in front of the zeros tomorrow or Friday, whenever I see you guys.
I think